What a year 2024 has been. In fact, a year to remember. So many changes, so many curveballs, but also some great memories along the way. I feel like I've done a lot more off camera this year that I didn't even discuss with you guys, such as going down to Newport, Rhode Island for the Audrey Concourse, meeting Jay Leno, and just really enjoying my time down there and getting a lot of ideas for what I want to do in the future for this channel and for 2025. Also, earlier in the year, for my annual trip, I go out to Watkins Glen for the 6 hours of the Glen. Amazing racing. In fact, if you do live in the New England area, I suggest going to both events. Fantastic stuff if you are a car enthusiast. But also, I've been keeping some stuff away from you guys for a Boston Auto Blog in general, where there have been a lot of changes. I look at 2024 as being a tale of two seasons. The first half of the year, I was still doing voiceovers and quick buyer's guides, not being on camera too much. And then midway through the year, I decided to really be on camera a lot more, give my opinion, go more in depth. And I think a lot of you guys are responding to that now, where there's more engagement, you're giving your feedback. And I'm really enjoying filming these reviews right now. It has been a very special time for me over the last 5 to 6 months, and I'm looking forward to going even further with this in 2025. What we're doing today, though, sets a tone for next year. The first ever Boston Auto Blog Car of the Year award. Now, for a lot of you who are new to this channel, and maybe you've recently subscribed or you're clicking on this video and seeing me for the first time, this formula has not been perfect. In true Boston Auto Blog fashion, this is informal and was a last-minute decision. So, without wasting any further time, let's get into my runner-ups and then also get into those finalists. So for the first honorable mention, let's start off with the Aston Martin Vantage, a $200,000 plus vehicle that is out of the reach for a lot of Americans. It's actually the reason why this car is not a finalist. If I was an enthusiast and I was focusing on sports car of the year, this might actually make the list. Now, I actually personally like the pre-facelifted model with the 503 horsepower, 505 pound-feet of torque, and the older Mercedes-Benz technology, although in its segment, the Vantage is making some great strides, going head-to-head with the Porsche 911, I think maybe even going head-to-head with the Ferrari 296. The fact that they still use a V8 engine, and the fact that Aston Martin is doing some fantastic work with their styling, the Vantage is one of the most beautiful cars made right now in 2024 heading into 2025. The next honorable mention is the Mazda Miata. This was so difficult for me because I loved this car. For a small little roadster at $30,000 with a manual transmission, it is a go-kart on wheels. Probably the best value out there for someone who doesn't need a sports car with 4 doors. If you're looking for an old school experience, you're going to find that with the Mazda Miata. To me, I actually think it's one of the best cars money can buy at its price point and then also for its segment. Yes, it goes head-to-head with the GR86. I featured that this year as well. I think the Miata is better than the GR86. Sorry, GR86 fanboys. I actually think the Miata is a better overall car. Gives you a better experience and an old school experience at that. And then also, I think even if you are comparing that to some of the sports sedans or hatchbacks at around $30,000, I think the Miata just gives you a bit more. It's a unique experience for sure in this segment and for 2024. Next up, and this is a recent crossover that I had featured, is the Ford Explorer ST. Now, the reason why this is an honorable mention and not a finalist is because this crossover isn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. It's still lacking quite a bit, and obviously with it being a Ford, it's not going to be the most refined, it's not going to be luxurious, nor is it going to be upscale. But for a 3-row SUV with a great engine, I actually think a surprisingly good transmission. It's so rare to find a crossover or SUV that gives you the practicality, family friendliness, but also relative affordability where you can have everything under one roof. That is so difficult to find right now in the automotive world, where so many manufacturers with their crossovers are either being a bit too rugged with their designs and being off-road worthy, or going in that luxury direction. If you're an enthusiast with a growing family, you're kind of out of luck here. There's no station wagons being sold in the US under $50,000 that's worth buying or worth driving. And you don't have many SUVs either that can fill that void. The Ford Explorer ST does all of that. And I actually think it's one of the best options out there if you are an enthusiast and you need that interior space, you need that practicality. Next up is the Subaru Forester. I featured this crossover quite a bit this year, but I like what Subaru is doing right now. Sure, they are kind of lacking when it comes to technology with the lack of a full digital gauge cluster, and the 11.6-inch touchscreen does leave a lot more to be desired. I think Honda, maybe even Toyota, have better head units than what Subaru is offering. And I also think that with the CVT, it leaves a lot more to be desired. But I do think that in the future, for 2025, with the hybrid powertrains coming down the road, maybe the Forester becomes a great choice. And also the fact that Subaru is throwing in a full digital gauge cluster with the WRX-TS, maybe we start seeing that trickle its way into the lineup. What Subaru has done with the Forester platform, the chassis, the suspension, and even retuning that naturally aspirated four-cylinder engine, it feels more complete, it feels more competitive in its class. Still nowhere close to outclassing the Honda CR-V, and probably not really competitive in my eyes, at least performance-wise, with the Toyota RAV4. I think Subaru is starting to close that gap, and it is one of the best-selling crossovers in its market. And for that reason, I think the Forester is most certainly worth being a honorable mention for sure, and maybe even a finalist in future competitions down the road. And the fifth and last honorable mention for 2024, you might be surprised by this, is the Mercedes-Benz CLE. Now, this was mostly due to this car's potential and what it could be in the future, because I went back and forth on this. I could have given this to the Mercedes-Benz E-Class because I hated the BMW 5 Series so much in 2023, where the design, the technology was just so bad compared to the previous generation that it just hurt me as a BMW enthusiast. But with the CLE, I feel like Mercedes-Benz learned from their mistakes, where, yes, going in the hybrid four-cylinder direction was a disaster, and that by dropping in an inline six, and then also with the prospect of having a V8 with that coupe, makes this car quite compelling, because BMW has kind of been in this space by themselves for the longest period of time. The M4 is your only choice if you are an enthusiast with that manual, with that sports car at around $80,000 to $90,000, because Mercedes-Benz dropped out. But now with the CLE, there's so much to like about the car from a design perspective, from a tech perspective, and then also what it's going to be offering in the performance department. I really liked what the CLE 300 was offering. Is it better than the 4 Series? You know, that's a toss-up. I really like the 4 Series. Design-wise, I think it looks better than the 4 Series. And then also, I think just tech-wise, I think Mercedes-Benz is moving in a better direction than what BMW is offering right now. That is just my take. But really for the CLE, it's all about its potential and what it could be. When we get that V8 and you throw that up against the M4, maybe the CLE is the better choice, but I really like what the CLE is bringing to the table, and I also think it's a breath of fresh air right now in a market that is rather stale and BMW dominant. And finally, for the moment we've all been waiting for, let's get into those finalists. So let's first start off with the 2025 Toyota Camry and the 2025 Honda Civic Hybrid. Two hybrids, two sedans, and they both come in under $40,000. I think they're great value. So let's first start off with that Camry. What Toyota has done for this new generation is incredible. Yes, the Camry has been a perennial all-star. Yes, the Camry is one of the best-selling cars in the US. Does it deserve to be a finalist for the Boston Autoblog Car of the Year award? I think so. When you take a look at all four trims, you have optional packages giving you a lot of value. You don't have to go with an XLE or XSE. I actually think the SE is the sweet spot, but if you're really on that stricter budget, the LE with the optional packages stretches your dollar just a bit more. On top of that, with the hybrid powertrain, you're getting a car that is fun to drive, frugal, affordable, and efficient. Everything all in one package and under one roof, I think makes the Camry a no-brainer, and also across all four trims, a fantastic car. Then with the Honda Civic Hybrid, I've always said with the Civic, it's the best car in its class. No one comes close to what the Civic is offering. Even on the lower end, even with the smaller engine and the CVT, yes, it leaves a lot more to be desired. But what Honda has done with the interior refinement, the quality, the technology, and then also even the standard equipment on the higher end with the larger infotainment system, the full digital gauge cluster, leather seats, it's a great car. It feels like a luxury sedan at around $32,000. Then Honda decides to drop in a hybrid powertrain, and it just changes up the car's demeanor overall. And I think that with the Honda Civic, if you're someone who is just looking for an affordable car that is small, that is practical, especially with the hatchback, but also a car that gives you a luxury quality, that's where the Civic would be a great choice. Volkswagen, Hyundai, Kia, and even Toyota are not giving you what the Honda Civic is offering, and that's why the Civic is a finalist for the 2024 Boston Auto Blog Car of the Year award. So now that we've narrowed it down, we've got our finalists, let's head out and hand that award to the winner. And the recipient for the first ever Boston Auto Blog Car of the Year award goes to the 2025 Honda Civic Hybrid. The Honda Civic has been a personal favorite of mine for a very long time. I personally feel it's one of the best cars money can buy at around $30,000. It's all about the value. At 30 grand, what you're receiving here with this car, even without the hybrid powertrain, you get an upscale driving environment, the creature comforts, amenities, technology. This car is fantastic in the 2020s. But the hybrid powertrain takes things one step further. 200 horsepower, 232 pound-feet of torque. The eCVT is better than the CVT for the full gas-powered model. Also, it's one of the most powerful Civics ever made not wearing the Type R badge. In my opinion, and this might be going a little bit too far, this is a Honda Civic Si with an automatic transmission. With the electric motors, with the hybrid powertrain, this car handles very well. It's fun to drive. It's also very quick. Together, it makes this sedan an all-in-one great package. Even better, if you don't want to go with the sedan, Honda does offer that hatchback, so you get that practicality as well. And it's also the interior. You get a Google-based software for the hybrid trim. You also have leather seats, dual-zone climate control, and a full digital gauge cluster. This car is as close to perfection as you're going to find right now in the automotive world. Yes, it was very difficult passing up on that Camry. I featured all 4 trims this year, but it only took one feature for the Civic Hybrid to make a world of a difference and leave a lasting impression on me. And it's because of that, I think it's worthy of being Boston Auto Blog's Car of the Year for 2024. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Also, once again, thanks so much for joining me on this journey throughout the year. It has been amazing. So many great memories, and I'm really looking forward to 2025. So guys, once again, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time.